Can you hear me still?
I can still hear you. Yeah, it's still loading. There we go.
Okay, yeah. This is my first time using this platform. I just signed up for like literally yesterday. Okay.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
so this is
actually
my first.
it's very user friendly. So you
You
don't like
like it?
Zoom?
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can see.
I mean, you can see each other. That's how it's supposed to be, right? But
Yeah,
yeah, it's my first time using it. I've known about this program for like this platform for a while, but I never really jumped on board, mainly because I wasn't sure, like, one, I wasn't sure that I could use it that much, but number two, um, I wasn't sure if it was worth the price, But
right.
yesterday, like this event particularly, we had way too many people registered. We had over like 100 something people registered for the event, and Zoom can only go up to like 100, and
Really?
yeah, and then I can go up higher. It's just that their sales service or like sales help is so horrible that I couldn't have enough time to upgrade to a higher program. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna set up a backup plan, sign up for another platform just in case. And then if I get it all set up in time, I'll use Zoom. If I don't, I don't. But we're on here, so that means that Zoom couldn't put it together for me.
Yeah. What's the name of this one?
So this one's called Webinar Jam,
Webinar
and
Jam.
it's been around for a long time. I've just personally never used it, but I read up on reviews and things like that. So they say that it's great. So because of that, I gave it a shot to see how it is. So we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out in a month and a half if we like it or not. And if we do, I'll continue using it. But
Yeah, it looks like very user friendly.
yeah. So far it's good. So there's a lot of people signing in right now. I can see it already. About 40 people are tuned in. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm gonna give you guys an outline real quick. I'm gonna say it again like 15 minutes in, so that way the people that came in late, they they'll know how it's gonna work. Today's event, I'm gonna be interviewing Willie. Willie's right now on the screen with me, and he's actually in Miami, right? You're in Miami right now?
No, New York.
Oh, you're back in New York? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday you were in Miami. The day before you were in Siesta Keys. So now you're back in New York. So that's you're home. That's good. Yeah, and Willie and I, we met actually not that long ago. And Willie's been he stumbled a little bit in the beginning. Took a long time. There was not anything, but now he's like transitioning. He's killing it. Okay, and I can definitely see him as having the characteristics to be like a short sale or flipping like guru. Okay, you don't know that. You don't know that, but I know that. So I can see those characteristics in you. 5 minutes after, we're gonna have Lenny Hernandez on, and Lenny is a share sale like guy. Like he's not a guru because he's not like a guy that teaches it. He can, but what he is to me is like he's just a killer with share sales. He does like 100 to 200 transactions a year just on shares, just from share sales alone. So he covers the whole state of New Jersey. Now I do share sales in PA. I've also done it in New York. And what I'll tell you is that the majority of the game is exactly the same. The only difference is where you get the leads from, where you get the source, but the due diligence is the same. And the process of how we identify rehab estimates, how we what houses we bid on, it's all the same. I've done Philly. I've also done Lehigh County and different counties up at PA. And what I found is that the biggest difference is what's called the redemption period. Okay, but other than that, everything else is the same. Same thing with New Jersey and PA. Due diligence on the property, on the opportunities, what properties they bid on is the same. The only difference is redemption. And same thing with New York. And New York doesn't have redemption, but you have a different set of variables to play with. We'll talk about that more at 7:45. So let's get back to Willie. So Willie, let's start. How long ago did we meet?
So it's about 2 years now. We met, came to one of your events, and it was like life changing for me because I didn't really know you. I didn't know anything about the events. I was very nervous. Really didn't want to be in a crowd, but I was like, let me give this event a shot. And, I saw it on Meetup. It was about real estate, wholesaling, and flipping. And so at that time, I was just getting into real estate. I didn't really know what flipping was, investing was. I was looking for buy a house in New Jersey. And, the realtor showed me around, and she's like, your mortgage is going to be like $3,000 a month. So I was like, for me to pay that mortgage, I'm going to have to work a lot of overtime at my job to really afford that mortgage. So I stopped going around looking for houses for her, found your events and went to your event and just really was blown away on how much knowledge that I didn't know about, like investing and buying houses and how to buy houses with no money, all these crazy creative strategies. So, and then
Of the event?
What'd you say?
I think the topic was about foreclosures, right?
Yeah, I think it was with, I think the first event was with me here actually and Joe Kraut.
Okay.
I forgot what the topic was. It might have been cash flow. It might have been cash flow that night.
Oh, really? It was October, right? October.
It was October. It was like either October or November of 2018. But I didn't really you put on a great presentation. I was like, how do I get close to this guy? So the next event was right around the Philly Expo. So I came all the way to Philly, and that was just like the event on steroids. So, and then I actually met you for the first time, took a picture, like you were like a celebrity to me.
I was a celebrity.
Yeah.
Together. That's so funny. I didn't know that. I don't remember, man.
Yeah, we took a picture together, and then I posted it, and I was like, yeah, this guy, so every event, everyone would go. I mean, I'm sure everyone on here right now knows, like at the events, at the end of them, everyone's asking you questions. So I was like, who the hell is this guy? So I was like, I need to really meet him and see what he does, and that's really like how we met. It was cool.
Okay, so you came out to the event, you enjoyed it. You came out to the expo, took a picture with me, right? And were you like, so this is a period when you were like brand new to the business, right?
Brand new.
So like, one, how did you stumble into doing foreclosures and short sales?
Yeah, it was actually like my first had two deals going on at the same time. One was a wholesale deal, and the other deal was a foreclosure. The lady was in foreclosure. Didn't really know what we were doing with her, but I knew we could really help her in the situation. So going to your events, New York, Philly, Jersey, just meeting people and just explaining what this lady was going through in her process. She was in pre-foreclosure, hadn't paid her mortgage in about 3 years. So I really just try to figure out how I can help her and learn something and create a deal out of it at the same time.
How did you run into the opportunity?
My friend brought it to me. He actually met the lady while getting his blood drawn. The seller was like a nurse, and he's getting his blood drawn from her, and she just opened up to him, and I guess they connected, and he was the realtor, and he brought me in. I didn't really know what I was doing, but we went to the house, we talked to her, and we actually brought his broker to the house with us, and I was going in with the intentions of short sale, because I knew she was in foreclosure. But I didn't know anything about the whole process. I didn't know what foreclosure meant. So, that's where, the events really just asking people on how do I get this transaction to the closing table? Or just how do I create something? How do I help the seller out, basically?
I think it's to show like an opportunity can come from anywhere.
And yeah, I knew at the time there was an opportunity there, but I didn't know how to make it work. Yeah, right, I didn't know how to make it work. And I remember like the auction, she had an auction schedule. This lady was about to lose her house. And I was like, oh shit, like how the hell do I stop this auction? Everyone's telling me, it's on the auction block, it's going to sale, she's done. And so it's like a week before the sale. So I'm on the phone.
What state was this?
This is in New York.
Okay, so by the way, guys, we're giving you data from like everything we sharing you guys works like around the whole country. It's just people will say otherwise. All right, there are specifics to each state, but like you're hearing New York stuff right now, and then you're gonna hear New Jersey stuff, and you're gonna hear PA stuff. But the big picture of it is the same. Everywhere. It's
the same. Yeah, it's really pretty much the same.
Maybe
some different. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, the whole point was what I learned first is networking is key. You got to really talk to people, ask questions. I ask a lot of stupid questions, and, sometimes people say, oh, it's a stupid question. But for me, I get answers and I get value out of those questions, because what I do is I'll ask one person a question and not really understand it, but then I'll go to another person, ask the same question, understand it a little more, and then go to the third person, actually be able to have the conversation with him. And then I'll go back to the first person and just blow him out of the water. And he's like, how the hell were you, I actually did that with an architect. I had to talk to an architect, and I didn't know how to talk to him. So talked to 3 architects, then I went back to the first one, and he was really impressed on what I learned and the verbiage on how to really talk the same lingo.
Yeah, so, that's secret too, just
Really, yeah, it really is, because you don't know what you don't know, so you have to ask these questions. Some people are just too shy or too nervous to really ask the questions, but they really want to know, and I really wanted to know it. So that's like my kind of tip on how to really ask it and get the answer.
So this lead came from a nurse, right, or from your friend, and the lead was a nurse, and you didn't know what to do with it, but you knew there was something you could do to help this lady, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a week away from auction. What'd you do? How'd you in New York, there's no what's called adjournments, right? In New York. So in New Jersey, we have adjournments where we can tell the homeowner to go to the sheriff's sale and file this thing called an adjournment that will postpone the sale by 2 weeks. And the homeowners have the right to 2 adjournments. So in that case, you can postpone it for an additional month. Whereas the property that you're looking at is New York. There's no such thing as adjournments in New York. And so how did you buy more time to make something happen?
So we had a week left. I think it was like 10 days left. And the key is you have to submit documents. You can't just get on the phone with the bank. They need to see data. They need to see documents. They need to see all types of stuff. So you got to send it. You got to send it in. And I kept getting it. They kept saying, no, we're going through with this sale, because I would send a contract in with the offer of what I thought the property could be sold for. So I think she owed like $600,000 on the house. We sent a contract in for $400,000, which I felt, I didn't know, I felt that was a strong offer to really, get the bank to at least stop the sale, give us some time so we can actually, get everything else together to schedule a closing so they can get paid. And they weren't playing ball. They weren't really, they're like, no, we're still going through the sale. So then after talking to people, scrambling, this deal kept me up at night. Like, I didn't sleep. This was on the phone with the bank from morning till night and submitting documents, going to Staples. Like, when I started, I didn't even have a computer or a printer in my house, really. So I had to go to Staples and, get fax papers to the bank. So this is the biggest secret. If you want to get an auction postponed, and I use this strategy over and over again. I've done it in the past 2 years that I'm doing this now. Over and over again, it works every single time. Send the bank a contract for what the full payoff is, and it's worked every single time. And when you do that, the bank will postpone the sale, and then it just buys you some more time to help the seller out avoid the foreclosure. That's how I did it.
My secret. So wait, okay. So the property's going to sheriff's sale, right? And it's scheduled. There's a date and everything, and there was no adjournments in the state of New York. So how do you postpone the sale? You came up with this idea of, hey, I'm gonna send a agreement to buy the property, right? And it's gonna be based on a full payoff. And because of that, the bank is gonna postpone it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's crazy, dude. I thought you did something else, just so you know. I thought you did what was it called? A motion to stay.
So just to be like that's so that was in the so I postponed this, just to be clear, I postponed this sale 3 times.
Okay.
Okay, so that was what we did the first time. So this sale actually got postponed 3 times. And
okay, wait.
Yeah.
The first time was motion of stay, right? That cost you money though, right? That cost you like $1,500 or something like that, right?
Yeah. And I didn't have no money to pay him. So like the attorney actually, came with me down to the courthouse, and he really guided me. And I don't know, like I built this relationship with this attorney in New York that I didn't have to pay him anything up front. And he was an older attorney, and he really, mentored me and really, saw that what I was doing was the right thing. And he guided me through to get the auction postponed for the second time. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so he mentored you through the first one with the motion of stay, right?
Right.
So motion of stays do work, and they are a real thing in New York.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but that costs like $1,500 from the person, whoever's doing it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can pay an attorney, but you can honestly do it yourself. Most people think they need to hire an attorney. It's really not that difficult to do yourself.
But
just pay.
Right, but like, if you don't know what you're doing, you probably want to get an attorney on board to help you with it the first time around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so you did that. You bought yourself what? How many days with the motion of stay?
So we had it was probably like another 30 days from what I remember. Yeah, I think it was like 30 days because we had it was like 30, I believe it was 30 days. And then, yeah, it was 30 days.
Okay, and then from there, what'd you do after? Was that right after the motion to stay? It didn't work. I mean, it worked. You got 30 days, and then next thing you know, you did what'd you do after? Because you postponed it 3 times. So what was it 3 different ways?
So the first time was the contract. The second time was the motion to stay. And the third time was actually that deal started as a short sale and morphed into a traditional sale.
Okay.
So it morphed into a traditional sale, and there was a third auction. It was around August. August 8th was the auction date. And we found the buyer to pay off the full payoff. August 7th, we closed the deal. From July 15th, we went into contract with the conventional buyer. July 15th, his mortgage guy rushed everything just to get this thing done the day before the auction. Because the judge, after 3 times, said that, this thing's going to be, he said, I didn't even know what he was talking about when I was doing this. Because we went down to the courthouse. The judge was like, we're going to hold the deed after, we're going to go through with the sale, but the deed is going to be held, with the trustee. And if you can close before September 3rd, I think it was, then you're good. But I was nervous that the buyer wasn't going to be able to close, and I knew if the sale went through and that buyer didn't close, then it was game over. We weren't going to get any time left. So I was like, I can't let this thing even go to sale. So I rushed everyone just to get it closed the day before the sale.
Okay, so you did a short sale with this, right? There was also a short sale in between this, right?
We initiated a short sale with this deal, and it morphed into a traditional sale. Because after,
Okay.
like I said, this was the first deal. I didn't pull title until later on because I didn't know, right? So after pulling title, we learned that there was a second mortgage on it.
Okay, so let me review what was just said. Lenny, I see that you just came on. Thanks so much, bro, for coming on early.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna jump and put you on in like 10 minutes when I'm done with.
No worries.
Yeah, I just really appreciate that you're on early. Thanks, bro.
Absolutely.
What's up, Len?
What's up, bro? How are you?
Good.
Actually, you can put the camera on if you want to put it on, Lenny, because I can't see you.
Let me see. How do I do this? Camera.
Play with it.
Oh, there it is.
I'll let you know.
There we go.
There we go. Library back there.
Last time you guys saw me, I noticed on my pic that you have over here, I didn't have hair. I grew my hair out.
I didn't know. People normally don't have hair because they can't grow it.
Correct.
I didn't even know you. So that means if I saw you walking down the street, I wouldn't have recognized you. That's so funny. I didn't even know.
What's up, guys? Nice to see you.
So I'm gonna actually do intros in like 10 minutes, Lenny. I'm just gonna finish with Willie real quick.
Absolutely.
So Willie, let's review some details here, right? One is this started off as a property going to sheriff's sale. Number two, it's about to go to sheriff's sale. Number three is you postponed it with the sales contract first, and then the postponement was through a sales contract giving full asking price, right? That's how you postponed it the first time. The second time, you postponed it with a motion of stay, right? Where you paid the lawyer $1,500 and you had literally like no money, right? Because I remember you weren't working at the time and things like that. You were just you were getting unemployment or whatever it is like that, and you were trying to make this work, okay? And you thought it was a short sale property, but then you found out that there was equity in it. You have never pulled title on this property. And by the time the third postponement was coming around, that's when when at that time did you guys find out that it wasn't a short sale?
It was probably this after we postponed it the second time with the motion to stay. That's when I realized, oh shit, I need to, pull title. We pulled title because I thought in my head that we had a buyer lined up. We got to get ready for closing. Like, this is someone that's coming into this not really knowing anything. So I was like, we gotta pull title. I think I said. So we pulled title, and lo and behold, there's a second lien holder on it. So we're like, oh shit! Now the payoff is, I think it was six. Oh boy, it was like 615. I think it was. So we didn't know how to deal with the second mortgage. We didn't know how to short anything. We didn't know really how to deal with the second lien holder. So then we posted. We had it on the MLS, and I just had some buyers start calling me. Had this one guy who's a city worker came in. He offered 645, and 645 was enough to pay off both lien holders and the closing costs because the seller had no money.
But how did you make money in it? It's like the numbers are close to the total balance.
Yeah, so the way I made money was I charged the seller, not the seller, the real estate commission. I got a cut of that.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, but this wasn't a wholesale.
No, because it kept morphing. It kept morphing into short sale, traditional sale. I was just trying to figure out how to really,
get through the process.
Get through the process. Yeah, it was a really, really tough process, really understanding it. And, once I was done with it, I was like, oh, okay. So, that's what it was, basically. And then, me and the realtor worked out a fee agreement, and that's how I got paid on that deal.
Okay. Tell us. So we're done with that deal. Tell us the story of a deal where you flipped it. So that was the first deal. The first deal, it wasn't about making the biggest spread in the world. It was more about, hey, you wanted to just go through a cycle from beginning to end, being a homeowner, right?
Yeah.
And you made a little bit of money. You didn't make a lot, but the most important thing was you understood the steps going through the journey. tell us when did the next deal happen roughly from that one, and was it a deal that you made like a wholesale fee on?
Yeah, so that's where things really got interesting. Right after we closed that deal, it was August of 2019. We got another lead right in, and this deal actually started. So like, this deal started as a loan modification. Seller had tenants in the house behind on payments. We helped them. I got them approved for a loan mod. So got them approved. We started the loan mod application in early September. Got them approved middle of November of 2019. Everything was great. Then once he was about to sign the approval for the loan mod, tenants call him. They're moving out. He can't afford the payments no more. So we listed the house as a traditional sale to sell it for him. I worked with a realtor, listed it for him. And I'm doing this in the beginning. I wasn't charging. I'm not charging anything. I'm just trying to connect people together on really have this seller really sell his house. So it went from a loan mod, then a traditional sale, went in contract with a buyer twice. We were supposed to close the traditional sale the end of December. Buyer backs out. We were actually at the Atlantic City Conventional Expo last year, and I get a phone call that a pipe broke in the house, and the basement was flooded. So the whole basement was flooded. Now the house is distressed. Okay, so we went from a loan mod, got them approved. Then we went to a traditional sale, had two buyers, they backed out. Then from that, the pipe breaks. Now the house is flooded. Now he's underwater, literally. And then we initiated the short sale. We started the short sale in January. Tenants moved out. The house is vacant. And we initiated the short sale January. We were on track to get this approved probably March, April. COVID happens and just, threw a wrench in there. And we actually just closed last week. And
that's the big deal that just closed, right? That was like the 6-figure deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the big one.
And was that an assignment? Was that a back-to-back flip?
So the bank on a short sales, the bank doesn't allow assignments.
Right.
So what we do is there's many strategies on how to flip short sales. There's been a lot of controversy on if it's legal, if it's not legal. The way we do it, and it's legal.
How did you find this out? You talked to the lawyer.
So I'm all about networking and really just meeting everyone I can get my hands on. So I have a couple of my partner that I'm partnered up right now with, great. He introduced me to someone, one of your friends, Brian Mara. There's this famous attorney he's an expert in short sales, Jeff Watson. And this guy he created what's called the option contract. And this option contract allows you to actually wholesale a short sale legally by disclosing everything to the bank up front. It's disclosed many times, many ways in their face to the bank. And this allows you to actually wholesale a short sale, where all the other strategies, whether, everyone has their own opinion on them, putting an LLC and a trust, double closing, they're illegal, but this way is really the cleanest way, where this famous lawyer went to Congress, fought in Congress to really get this way approved on how to wholesale a short sale.
But yeah, this lawyer is not like no joke, guys. Like he's the guy that's like fighting. He fought for the law. He wrote the laws on this stuff, and he wrote the contract on how to do it. And the thing is, just you skipped a few transactions in between, because you did a bunch of other ones in between your first one and this one. But how did you find the lead for this one?
So this deal. Yeah, it was a friend. It was actually my barber that cuts my hair actually gave me the lead.
Okay. So far, the two transactions that you told us about, no marketing, right? Like you didn't do any marketing. The marketing you did was that you talked to your barber that you are investing in real estate, right? And
Yeah.
talk to your friend who's a realtor that you're investing in real estate, and then they gave you that. But other than that, there was no like direct mail or anything like that.
So far, every lead that I have, over 10 transactions, every lead, they're all referrals. I talk to everyone, and I want to get into marketing to really get more leads, but it's been a lot of referrals. I work with wholesalers, realtors, friends. You just tell everyone what you do, trying to help people, and, they give you those leads, and, we get them done.
I want to stress that because you're the guy that's like just talking and making this business work.
Yeah, I mean, I plant seeds in people's brains.
Right. That's awesome, bro. Okay. By the way, we didn't talk about we talked about a few things. We talked about your first deal, your recent one. We talked about how there's a legal way to actually flip short sales. Okay. There's a lot of opinions on how to do it, but this is like written by a lawyer that is the one that's like arguing with the government for our rights, right? And so you went out of your way and decided to hire this guy, right? It wasn't like, hey, I'm following his method. You're not just doing that. You're hiring him.
No, because now because I closed a couple of deals and made some money. Now I have some money, and actually, he's not cheap. I mean, just to get him on the phone, it costs some money. So, I went ahead and actually spent the money and really, it's so worth it. I would have paid double.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, it's better that than jail time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever the cost is, it's nothing compared to jail time. So
yeah.
So you hire this lawyer. He advised you on how to close. So in a way, like it's not even our, we don't even want to be doing that because we just want to let you guys know, whoever's on the call, on the webinar, that there's the right lawyer that everybody should be using to do this assignment or flipping of short sales. And that's the guy to use, that's got to hire for that expertise. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What we haven't covered is this, and I want to take just a few minutes to cover it. Short sale processing. Okay, because we talked about how you found your deals, you just talk to people, you put the house in the contract. Who processed the short sale? How did you know how to do it? And we talked about how to postpone the sale, and we talked a little bit about how to flip it. By the way, guys, if you guys have questions that are on the webinar, post them, because in 5 minutes, I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can with everybody on the panel. Go ahead.
So the question
so the question was, how did you discover, how did you process? How did you know how to process?
It's super easy. The way it started was I asked the bank, what documents do they need? And he just told me.
Them. Yeah, exactly, right? Okay, and then they just told you what documents you need, and then what did you do?
Exactly. I put them all together. It's a lot of documents, and you got to make sure that you get all the documents in one shot. Otherwise, the short sale can go on forever. So it's important, when you meet with your seller, you're getting everything that is required, that the bank requires, and you get everything in one shot, and then you submit everything to the bank, and the bank's going to come back and signature here is not right. So you got to go back and forth a little bit with getting all the documents, but it's really simple. Whatever they need, they're going to tell you. And now we have a checklist and everything. It's we have tons of documents now. Being that we did the process, so it's a lot easier now for us. But it's that simple. You just ask the bank. Exactly what I did.
I tell people that all the time, because when I did my first short sale, I just called the bank, and I'm like, bank, what do I need to do to get this done? And they just told me what I needed to give them, and then they would approve it. And I'm trying to say that, and you just heard it from Willie. It's not rocket science. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there are gurus out there that will say it is, but the short sale processing is not rocket science. The flipping and how to do the paperwork where you can flip, that could be rocket science. But in terms of getting an approval, it's not rocket science.
Exactly.
Okay, so I want to open a Q&A. Before I do, I want to introduce Lenny. Okay, Lenny's on the panel with us, and I know he can help answer some of these questions. Lenny, like I said earlier, is like the king of share sales, right? Does like about 100 to 200 transactions a year just on share sale deals alone. Like I said earlier, for the people that missed it, share sales in terms of like due diligence. Oh, you guys know each other too? Yeah. I didn't know you guys were hanging out. Yeah, in terms of like
I
share
don't know what they're saying because you have the headpiece.
what deals we identify as good prospects, you know, like it's all the same. The only difference in terms of like where we do it, the only difference is like redemption periods and little like very very little details. But overall, the overall game is the same. Also, we have Matt Allen on the call with us. He's hanging out with Willie. Yeah, Mahir is also a killer at the game of real estate investing. He does a lot of buy and holds and fix and flips, right, Matt?
That's accurate. Yep.
You want me to say anything else?
No, that's it. I'm good.
Okay. I didn't know you guys were hanging out. You guys are flipping houses or trying to put some houses under contract?
Something like that.
Gotcha. But anything else?
See you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. Did I miss anything else?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna ask some questions that are on here, and then from there we're gonna get into getting to know you a little bit more, Lenny.
Okay.
So let me see here. Some of the questions could be. I'm gonna go to the top. So one of the questions was doing the short sale. Where did you get the proof of funds? Did you have to get it, Willie?
How did I get proof of funds?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm connected with a hard money lender. Told them I was looking to buy a house, wholesale house, and sent me a proof of funds.
Okay. Awesome. So that's where you got it. All right. One of the questions here is I didn't understand the procedure on how you did a wholesale on a short sale. So what's the procedure like?
It's all. So the procedure is like this. Without getting too much into it, you send the bank a contract. You get it. You go through the whole process of the short sale. Once you get the approval letter, then you would. Once you get the approval letter,
So it's just a sales contract. It's not like a contract.
It's not an assignment contract. It's a regular. The first contract you submit to the bank is your contract, and that first contract is a preliminary contract because we don't really know the number, what the bank is going to take. So we go through the whole process, getting them send the appraisal out. We get that value, and then once we know that number that they want, so let's say they want 100,000, we market it on the MLS for hire and see how much more we can get for it. And once we get a buyer for a higher price, we'll send the bank another contract with the famous option contract along with the purchase contract and releasing our option to buy that house. Does that make sense? Nick, do you understand that?
So I've done this, but I don't understand some parts of it you just said. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'll say it again. So it's we send the contract to the bank.
But that contract, is that a traditional sales contract?
Yep.
Okay, so that's a traditional sales contract.
Traditional sales contract goes into the bank with us and the owner of record. That gets sent in. Then the bank would do the appraisal. We know them once we find out the value, and let's say it's 100,000. We find another buyer that's going to buy it for us for 125,000. We'll take that contract that we have with the owner of record, and we'll step out of that contract and insert it. We'll insert the new buyer with the owner of record in a brand new contract, and then that new contract will get submitted to the bank along with our termination and release agreement, and that will get shipped to the bank for final approval. And it's
I get it.
Yeah, it's all disclosing them that basically that we found a higher offer, and here's the paperwork basically.
So just correct me if I'm wrong. So it's you have a traditional sales contract going into the to the bank. Let's say you're trying to buy for 100. It gets approved for 100. Okay. But before it gets approved, you're marketing it. You're advertising. Let's say you get a buy for 200. Okay. So you have a contract in place with the bank with an approval for 100. You have a buyer for 200. Two different things, right? And then from there, you are now sending paperwork to the bank saying you are releasing your rights to buy it for 100.
Yep.
Correct? And this and you're giving this release up for, let's say, $100,000 more.
Yeah.
Right? And so this other person is buying it for 200. So it's kind of like you have equitable interest inside the transaction. Okay? And you're releasing, and you're sending this paperwork to the bank. You're not keeping it a secret. You're sending it to the bank, and the bank is like, okay, I approve this for 100. Willie has equitable interest in buying this property for 100, but he found someone that's going to buy it for 200. Am I going to continue with this approval? Right? Because you're in essence putting everything in front of them, and they can say yes or no. Correct?
Exactly. Yep.
That means they don't approve it, and so no one can buy it other than you for the 100, right? But if they approve it, what they're saying is, hey, Willie, we're letting you release the contract, and we're letting you make this fee legally by law. That's crazy, dude. That's okay. I thought it was a totally different way. I didn't know it was like that. That's legit.
Yeah, and everyone always asks, well, why is the bank willing to do that? The bank approved a value that the house was worth to them. So that's all they want. They want to make that net. So, and we're disclosing everything to them, and they can deny it, but they have it.
That's awesome, bro. All right, I'm gonna get some more questions right here. So awesome. Let's not miss each. No. The other question was one of the questions was, can you send a checklist of documents out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, look. So in that case, just give it to me, and then I'll send it out to everybody. I'm pretty sure I have it already because it's pretty standard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get to the next question, and then we're gonna go into Lenny. A lot of times, the hard money lender wants a contract for proof of funds, so they want the sales contract before they can give you proof of funds. Is that true?
What was the question?
A lot of times, hard money lenders, they don't want to give you proof of funds until there's a sales contract. That's not true.
I didn't hear you. Say that again. You cut out.
The question was, hard money lenders want a sales contract before they'll give you a proof of funds.
Like I said, I'm a network guy, so you build a relationship with a hard money lender, and it shouldn't have a problem giving you a proof of funds.
Yeah. Plus, I think it's like you can't get a contract unless you provide proof of funds. You know what I mean? It's like I think maybe they're working with the wrong hard money lender. There's Marty. Martin's on here. Chahara. He does Express Capital. Reach out to him. Just Google hard money, or come out to the events and look for hard money lenders. There's so many of them. If one doesn't give you kind of like leeway, just find another one. Because there's so many of them right now. Okay, the next question is actually I'm gonna save questions to in the 45 minutes, guys, because I'm not getting really like foreclosure questions. I'm getting more like proof of fund questions. But before we get to Lenny, I want to just bring this up real quick, guys. So for people that like kind of came in late, I just want to give you guys the procedure of how this all works. Let me move this down here real quick. Video. Oh man, this is it's my first time using this platform, so like it's kind of buggy. But okay, there we go. So the way this works is like homeowners are normally, they have to be behind on payments by at least 3 months before they get what's called a notice of default or a list pendant, which lets the world know that they're behind on payments. Okay, and so that's 3 months, right? And then depending on the state, the window of time until the property goes to sheriff's sale is different. So like New Jersey, so it's 3 months plus 9, right? And then the property goes to sheriff's sale. That's like standard law, but because there's so many foreclosures right now, what happens is that 9 months extends to like 18 months or even like 36 months. So that window could go way longer. And then for New York, it's 3 months plus 15 months before it goes to sheriff's sale. But again, because there's so many foreclosures right now, that window can extend. And what we talked about with Willie just now was doing what's called a short sale, where you're negotiating with bank to get a discount on a property, meaning the property is only worth, let's say, 500,000, but the homeowner owes like 800. So if the homeowner wants to sell the property, they have to either bring $300,000 to the table, but they don't have that because they're typically behind on payments when they're trying to sell. And so because of that, you have to do what's called a short sale. And short sales can be done during pre-foreclosure period. And so I'm drawing this out to let you guys know, when you can do short sales. So like I said, 3 months before a property goes into notice of default, and then 9 months to 15 months till it goes to sheriff's sale. That's for New Jersey, it's 9 months, and for New York, it's 15 months. And then for PA, it's about like 12 months. But those are standard timelines. But today, they're like twice as long. So that you have a lot more room to play. And Willie was talking about how he postponed the property from going to sheriff's sale like 3 different ways. He did the sales contract, giving them a full price offer is one way. And then he did the motion of stay is another way. And in New Jersey or in some states, they have what's called what's called adjournments. So adjournments is another way. Not every state has it, but you can postpone this property from going to sheriff's sale if you do an adjournment. And then now we're gonna talk with Lenny. Lenny is the expert at investing at the sheriff's sale, meaning, time is up. It's about to hit the auction steps. If you want to buy at the auction steps, what are you going to do so that way, you can buy right and not overpay, right? Bank-owned properties. So I just wanted to bring this up so that way you guys understand where we're at and what we're talking about right now. So Lenny, I'm going to give you the stage. Lenny, tell us, how did you get started? Tell us about yourself, and then how you got into share sale investing.
So I got into I'll start from the beginning. I got into real estate back in 2001 after 9/11, right? I got in. I didn't want to go back to the city after that, and I just always wanted to get into real estate, and that was my way out of real estate. I mean, out of working corporate. So I had gotten all kinds of like books and stuff like that. Carlton Sheets was a big guy back then. And he had talked about this whole buying properties without any money or anything, right? So when I got out, it was a crazy time. 9/11 had just happened and stuff. So I started trying to look for properties. Back then, there wasn't, any real networking events or anything like that. I found there was a chat rooms on AOL. That's how old I am, right? Chat rooms on AOL for real estate. I found the guy who had 2 properties in Plainfield, and I went to go see him. It's 2 families. He said he wanted $160,000 for the properties. So I had said to him, "Hey, if I give you 200, can I keep the difference?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I said, "All right, no problem." I got him 2 buyers. And I feel I got pretty lucky into getting into real estate because that was only my like third transaction. So I literally got in with no money down, nothing, right? I think I gave him $1,000 back then. I bought I put two 4-family properties under contract for 160,000 and sold them for 200,000. And literally within, I don't know, a 60-day period, I made more money than I was working in the city, right? That changed everything, right? I got into real estate. That was my getting into real estate. So I got in thinking that I was going to always make money like that, and it was really easy, right? I continued doing real estate like that, creative. I've always liked like creative ways of doing things. At that point, I had already bought in 2 properties, one multifamily that was draining money. I wasn't making any money. And then my own property that I lived in. And I hated the whole process of trying to get the loan and all that stuff. So I came up with these creative ways of doing things. Creative ways in the sense of I would find expired listings using my father's MLS and seeing properties that didn't have, that didn't sell. And I would go up to those people and I say, hey, if I sell your property and get you what you want, can I keep the difference? And that's how I began doing it. I was doing all this in Plainfield. 1 property, 2 properties. I had 1 crew, and we would start doing, multiple properties, to a point that I just couldn't do anymore because there was so many construction projects. I then discovered, I didn't know what wholesaling was, discovered that I could assign my contracts that I had with these people, right? So I got into that, started assigning those deals for, 5, 3,000, whatever I could. During that process, I was really amped on real estate, trying to find different ways of being able to get properties. And I kept on hearing about share sales, right? Different types of, you get a share sale. So I went there, and the share sales, at least in New Jersey, it was kind of like a boys club, right? So it was the same people always winning, and they were always, it was the same, like, I don't know, 80% of the room wasn't winning, and the 20% was actually bidding and getting properties. So I did that for 2-3 months and seeing that. And I was like, you know what, this is easy. I can do this, right? This is no big deal. The first property I bid on was a condo association lien, and I learned real quick that I couldn't do anything with that. It was just, it was a second mortgage and subject to a first mortgage. Meaning that, what I bought it for was nothing. I lost my deposit, right? Because the first mortgage was too expensive. My second deal that I did was a condo association lien that, that same thing, was occupied. I couldn't do anything with that. So I kind of like said, I got to learn this whole share sale stuff a little bit better. So I continued going to the auctions and seeing what everybody else was doing. And I seen there was a pattern. Everybody was going for the stuff that was the cookie cutter properties. The stuff that was really crappy and nobody wanted, that would just go back. Nobody was bidding on that stuff, right? So I was just like, you know what? Let me see if I can bid on that stuff. It was stuff that was cheap properties, 50,000, 60,000. So I bid on a couple of those. I bid on 1 property. I don't remember what it was. It was a dilapidated property, and I got it for $50,000. And I was just like, they were laughing. Literally, the guys over there were laughing because they, I didn't even know what I was doing, but they knew that I didn't know what I was doing, right? So I got it, and when I got it, I was like, I went to go see the property. I was like, holy crap, this is terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. But in just networking and going out with people, I sold it. I sold it. I made $10,000, and I was like, okay. Let me go back to the sale. So I literally was, clear title. I got $10,000. I go back to the sale, and my way of searching at that point, it was really just me and Ruben was helping me with all the back end stuff. We were kind of like winging it at that point, right? So I started buying the crappy property, right? And I became kind of like the guy known that would buy all the crappy properties. Right. And what they didn't know is that what I was doing, I was creating a niche. right? Because I would buy the crappy properties, and then I had a distribution to sell them, right? And so it was easy. Just go there, bid on bad properties, go and stuff. And that's how I really got really familiar with the whole process. I lost deposits and stuff like that, but I learned the sheriff sales literally by just trial and error. And it was a while. It took a while for people to catch on that, wait, this crap actually sells, right? Because if you sell, 4 or 5 properties in that month and you're selling them for 10, 20,000, 30,000, you're making a lot of money as if I was retailing properties. So I would continue doing that. Then started building a team. Said if we can do it over here in Union County, maybe we can do it in Middlesex County. Brought on friends, people that were hungry. We, did what I called JV on that, right? I would tell them how high to bid. They would bid on the properties, and that's how we started getting into, multiple counties: Union, Middlesex, Essex, Somerset. We got Hunterdon, Mercer, and stuff, and we just continue doing that, right? That is a lot of movement in properties because we weren't really taking down anything. What I mean by taking down meaning is actually pay off the properties and then keep them ourselves to renovate them, right? We were really just moving inventory like that. We were the crap buyers with the end buyers, distribution, right? So I learned a lot about the auctions in that sense, from just losing money, right? Thankfully, making more money than actually losing, and that's how we did it. Just continued doing it,
Let me ask you, was no one else buying the crappy properties?
Well, what was happening is in the counties that I was doing, for the most part, they didn't want those properties because those properties come with headaches if you're going to be the one who's actually renovating. But in that world, it's just like anything else. In that world, that's what their thought was. But in the outside world, there were people that was just taking them and just renovating them, fixing them, and all that stuff, and making a lot of money because I wasn't really getting greedy with what we were selling them for. It was assignment fees, $10,000, $15,000, stuff like that. Just a lot of small fees.
I get it. So in a way, like you weren't dealing with like investors. You were dealing with like realtors in a way, right? Or like.
Well, I was dealing with more of people that wanted to do the renovation, the rehab renovation.
Right, and everybody else was doing.
Correct. So there wasn't any it was great because it was oh, you want this property? Okay, I got it for this. Okay, yeah, just give me my money back. There's no title, no nothing. That's how it would happen. We did that for years.
Right. So that's how you got started. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. It was almost like taking candy from a baby. It sounds like.
It was. The sheriff sales. So I learned sheriff sales and I detached sales for a lot of years too. Right. Those two were my favorite because they're more risk, right, and they're more moving parts and stuff like that. I got used to working on small time. You're supposed to close in 30 days.
Right.
You learn how to extend that a little bit and stuff like that. So working under pressure was something that was able to be adapted to really quickly.
Got it. That's awesome. So that's how you got started. And then as you kept doing it, you came up with like a perspective of how to really play, right?
100%, yeah. Correct.
And so like, I don't know, like there's there's houses that are vacant, right? And then there's houses that are not vacant. And then not only that, but you're not allowed to go inside these houses.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So like, how are you doing due diligence?
So what we would do is the days of the auction, we would already be prepared. We had like what we call field recon people, right? They would go, and depending on whatever county it is, sometimes the sales are 2 sales on one day. So we would have like 2 recon people. One person would go to like Union County or whatever. The other person would end up going to Middlesex County, and they would go to the properties that we already knew that we were interested in getting, right? They fit the criteria that we were looking for. So they would go
right.
and take pictures. We We sometimes manage to get inside, right, if they're vacant. And more importantly, we would know if they're not vacant, if there are people in there. We'd want to know. We don't care if it was tenants. We would stay away from properties, or try to stay away from properties that were property owners, right? Tenants you can work with. Property owners, you have to do a motion to vacate, right? That takes 90 days.
Okay, that's awesome. So if you, in essence, if you bought a property at the sheriff's sale where you have to do a motion to vacate, that means you have to buy it, is what you're saying, right?
Correct. In order to get to that point, you have to pay off the property. That's when the process starts.
Okay, and so in a way, you stay away from properties that you have to that are home owner occupied.
We try to stay away. First off, because I don't really like kicking people out of their house and stuff, right? That's not something that we really like doing. We always rather have a property that's vacant or whatever. And if it's tenants, then we try to find out. That's part of the job that the field recon would do. They would talk to the tenants, see if they're actually paying, try to get an idea of what's going on at the property.
Okay, because like in New York, the eviction process or the motion to vacate is also even longer. And so that's also like a rule of thumb that I ran into with New York properties, because they're like, you said 90 days, they're like 8 months over there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so it's even longer.
Don't get me wrong. We've had properties in Bergen County that took a year to get the person out, just because, it's a different process, slow process and stuff like that. Yeah.
But was it worth it?
Yeah. Even with that, it was worth it. Yeah. In Bergen County.
You just have to have the money to play. You just gotta have the money to play, right? Because like if you don't have the money to play, and you get yourself into a transaction that takes like a year, you're kind of like in a bad spot.
Correct. Oh, one thing I want to mention too. So when we would go out to look at properties, we would instruct the field recon guys to look for, is there an oil tank? Is it underground? So they already knew certain stuff to look for. We would check to see if it's in a flood zone. If it's in a flood zone and there was an oil tank, we'd stay away from it. There was a lot of things that were going on that we would know prior to going to bid. So in the beginning you said like you come up with like leads that you think qualify for bidding, right? So one is it in a flood zone? Two is there a possibility of an oil tank? Yep.
Right. And then three is what is like anything else?
Owner
occupied or not?
Owner occupied. Yeah. Is it vacant? Is it condemned? Sometimes the property is set to be torn down by the city or whatever. We'd also look for municipal liens, right? Because when you're bidding on these properties, you need to know. One thing is bidding on the judgment, right? But the other thing is all the municipal liens carry, and you really can't get out of a sale and say, "Oh, I didn't know that there was $100,000 of municipal tax liens associated with it," right? So we would know all that stuff.
What about you said that you try to get into the vacant properties, but let's say whatever reason you can't get in, right? But it's vacant, you can't get in. Is there a game of guesstimating the rehab?
Yeah. So because we can't get in, and if the property looks completely, torn up, then we're assuming this is a complete gut. So whatever the highest number is that we would, we do it by square footage and stuff. Whatever the highest number would be, we assume the worst. We assume that we're gonna have to replace everything, and that's how we would go into that, right? And based off that is where we would come up to where it is that we want to bid.
Right. Okay. So like for me, right, my gut renovation number is like $65 a square foot.
Okay.
So if it's like 1,000 square foot property, I'm gonna think it's gonna cost $65,000 to renovate it.
Yep.
Or, I mean, are your numbers around there? Are your numbers higher or lower?
Now we got tools and stuff and different things that we created, but back then it was just basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Figure it out and just. I mean, if it was a big house, we'd say 100,000. Nowadays, back then, everything's a lot more expensive now, right? Back then, it was easier to figure out what a full renovation would be.
Right. Okay. So any other? Is there a reason why you avoid the house with oil tanks?
So if it's the only time we avoid a house with an oil tank is if it's in a flood zone, because we've had a situation where the tank was in the ground, underground. They did an inspection, and sure enough, it was contaminated. Now, every property we buy, even now, every property that we buy, if we're saying we're going to buy it as is, and not contingent upon anything, we always assume that the oil tank is contaminated. But we never touch a property anymore that has the oil tank in a flood zone, because that goes from being a $10,000 to $12,000 job to 40, 50, 60, 70. It's unlimited what it can go to.
Right, because the water carries the oil and spreads it.
Yep.
Versus okay, it's not in a flood zone, but it could be leaking. It's gonna be 15, 20,000. That makes so much sense.
Correct. It just doesn't make any sense. We got very lucky on we bought 2 properties at the Union County sale, and I didn't want to wholesale them to one buyer, but he insisted, and I decided to do it. 2 good properties. He ended up fixing up both of the properties. At the very end, when he was done fixing up the property, they found a tank. He happened to be in the flood zone, which he knew, right? But he found a tank that was nowhere near the house. It was just way set in the backyard, and it ended up being contaminated. He had that property for 8 months, renovated, right? And just kept on digging out, just money and money. It looked like a pool. It was a big hole. He couldn't rent it out. He couldn't get a CO. He couldn't do anything. Thank God, the other property that we sold him, he made a lot of money. So he didn't lose. He broke out even on both properties, but it took him close to a year. After that, that would have been us, right? Yeah,
that's crazy. All right, guys. So if you guys have questions for Lenny on how the sheriff sale game works, or how to even get into it, any other questions, just ask and post it now, and then I'm gonna ask Lenny. I'm gonna read off some questions now. Either of you can answer them. So one of the questions was, list pendants is when like a property just starts foreclosure, right? Or the homeowner gets a list pendants or a notice of default when the property just went into foreclosure. Does anyone in the chat know where we can get a list of list pendants? Or are you guys even doing marketing towards that at all?
Are you asking if there's anywhere to go to get that information?
Oh no, if you knew or if you did that, yeah. Like marketing strategy for you.
Yeah. Now we're then. Now we do it all the time, right? But now it's a little bit different. Now, there's such a backlog of foreclosure. To give you a perspective of the default rate, back then in 2007, the default rate was at 1.8%. Right, of people stopping and paying their mortgages. Right now, we're somewhere between 16 and 18%. So right now, everything seems good, but it's coming. At some point, it's coming, right? But still, it's a lot of people are once this gets opened up, it'll be again like it was before as far as foreclosure.
Okay, so the question that I'm getting is there a place to get a list of foreclosures or list pendants?
Well, okay. NJ List Pendants is where you can get your list pendants, right?
For New Jersey, yeah. I think for New York they have a site called Realty Track.
Okay. And as far as the share sales go, if you go to salesweb.com, you'll get most of the counties on SalesWeb, and that's public information right there.
So SalesWeb, Realty Track, and
PropStream. PropStream's a good one.
PropStream.
Prop stream. Okay.
I've actually gone to Trenton. Lenny, you might know did this before, and I went to Trenton and I got a list of like 5,000 docket numbers of really early stages of the pre-foreclosure. Mm-hmm. And what I'm doing now is converting the docket number into real data, and it's 3 months, right in the beginning, and that's like the best time to really communicate with a seller going through that. So that's another source. Trenton, New Jersey courthouse. They get the docket numbers and the complaint first. Just got to convert the data.
Yeah.
And then for sheriff sale leads, where are you going, Lenny?
I go to SalesWeb, and we.
Okay, so you don't use the county.
Well, that's basically. That is the county. That is the county. So they're all plugged into the same network, right? So if you Google salesweb.com and then you go in there and then it'll show you Middlesex, Somerset, all these different. You just click on that and then it takes you right to that.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
So for people that are not in New Jersey, you can literally Google like whatever county you want to look at for sheriff sales, like Philadelphia County, Kings County.
Oh, so, yeah.
You just have to know word.
Yeah.
And then the list of properties going.
In New York, Staten Island, Brooklyn, it's in the newspaper. They're in the newspaper as well.
Okay, I'm gonna ask some questions that are here. Some owners are very reluctant. So I'm sure you guys are running to homeowners or tenants at times when you're looking at properties. Some owners or tenants or whatever are very reluctant to talk to people about their situation. How do you talk to them into selling the property?
Are you just talking sheriff sale or just regular people?
Regular people.
So, for you want to answer that?
I'm really good with connecting people, and it's actually really simple. You just have a normal conversation with them to really break the ice in the beginning, and
So don't talk about sheriff sales, or don't talk about the sale of the property. You just talk about that.
Build rapport is really key when you're dealing with a seller that's either in distress or any seller for that matters. Don't try to, I'm going to offer you a cash offer right away. Build the rapport. I was just on the phone with a guy for an hour the other day, 75-year-old man with a fire property, and an hour on the phone with him, just really hearing his whole life story, so that's basically what it is. Just build rapport.
So Willie, you kind of go overboard on this. Just so everybody that knows, right? Willie goes overboard. Like he'll take people
a little bit, yeah.
Like tell us, okay, out of the deals you've done, tell us something, I don't know, like because you go a little bit overboard on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do definitely go overboard, and hoping as I go along in my career, I'll tone it down a little bit and figure out how to save some time. But I do go overboard. I've taken sellers out, to dinners, to bars. I had, for some reason I get a lot of old people in their 60s and 70s, and I took one guy, he was 75 years old, and we went to this bar where this band that was from 1950s was playing, and I took him there. And this guy's divorced, and we had a great time. We have a really great time. And when I do it, I follow up with. I'll send a text message every Friday to follow up text messages with the people that I'm working with now, and I just if they need me, I'm here. Call me and text me. So, but it starts with just building rapport with them. Go ahead, maybe you have a different strategy.
No, that's awesome. I think I want to say something because I wanted to point it out because there's the guy that's like, hey, here's my offer. But that only works with people that are like, hey, I'm ready to sell, right? But with you, Willie, you're like, hey, look, I want to buy your house. I get it. You're going through things. Let me help you go through those things. Let me help you overcome those things. And then once you get them over that, they're like, you know what, Willie? It sounds like they're just like, you know what? I'm over that now. I just want to get out of my house. And
Yeah, like, know, and trust them. It's all about the trust in the beginning.
yeah, because I hear some of the stuff you do, and I'm like, Willie's doing what? You know, but then next thing you know, you're like, you get the house, and you're closing the deal, and you're not doing this like. I think you started off unemployed and doing this full time, but now
No, I had a job. I always had a job. I'm trying to create a business out of it. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, it starts. Close a couple of deals, and now we're growing and growing, and the goal is to create a business around it. But it's a process, and it's good because I love talking to people. I love connecting with people, so I enjoy it. I enjoy what I do. It's not like work. I'm on the computer at 12 o'clock at night, on the phone with a seller sometimes at 12 o'clock at night. And people are like, why are you doing that? I enjoy it, I actually enjoy it, so it's cool.
So Lenny, I got a question for you. So do you pull title searches on the properties before you bid on them?
No. So what we would do is we would research the public announcement, right? And on the public announcement, it would basically say everything that when you're foreclosing on a property, basically you have to put it and you have to make it public. Right, so in there it'll show the mortgages, it'll show the first quarter, second quarter, whatever they owe in taxes and stuff like that. What it won't show is exact like municipal liens and stuff like that, right? So whenever we bid on something, that's actually a good question. Whenever we bid on something, we would look at that to make sure that what we're bidding on is really a first mortgage, right, and B, how many other things are associated to that. Right, so that's what we look into. We didn't worry about when after doing this for some time, we didn't really worry about what the title search was going to say, because if it didn't reflect what the public announcement said, then we would literally just get out of the sale at no recourse, right? Or if it's something popped up and we really want the property, then we would just put it on the foreclosing attorney to clear up whatever it was.
Awesome. A lot of like inside data that I wasn't even aware of. So thanks for sharing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for a person that for a person that's I guess new to the business or new to the business, do you recommend that they start at the sheriff's sale?
I recommend if they're going to go to the sheriff's sale, not to just jump in like right away. They got to see. So the auctions right now have been down, right? It's null and void. There's no more auctions right now until this whole Corona thing's over.
Yeah.
Correct. So when people go back and investors go back, they're going to be like starving, like lions, looking for deals. I would never want to go at that point, right? For some time. I wouldn't go. But if they are going to go, they should follow the people that are actually bidding and winning and seeing what they're doing and kind of learn what it is. The investors that go there aren't just going to let outsiders just take over, right? So you got to make sure if you're going to go there that sometimes I see investors bidding even if they're not going to make a profit on the property. It's cheaper to get the person out of wanting to go to the sale again than actually, winning the property. So it's kind of like protecting the thing. So I would never recommend somebody to go there unless they have all their ducks in order, or unless they have an end buyer for that particular property, or unless they want to keep the property for themselves, right? Otherwise, it's risky just jumping in just like that.
Got it. I agree with you 100%. So one of the questions is, or one of the listeners pointed out that we haven't gone into like how we found distressed properties. I just want to let that person know we kind of did, but like it's just that we do it in such casual ways that it doesn't seem like we're doing anything. With Lenny, he's going to the Sales Web website. He's pulling a list of sheriff sale properties from there. Go ahead.
So actually to answer, because right before the pandemic, we had backed off of sheriff sales for like 15 months prior to everything shutting down, which I'm glad we did. The way we find distressed properties right now is we're buying data. I think, Willie, you mentioned data before. Data has become like life-changing right now because everything we do right now is based on data. So there's places like list stores that you can buy. If there's YouTube videos on how to pull your data, You could buy your data from over there, and kind of like, skip trace the data and start calling whoever you think that it is that's what we're doing right now. We buy data, we skip trace the data, we match it up with other situations, distress situations, and then we call those people. We have 3 cold callers that call up the list. They just keep on calling. It's just like a shotgun approach when we're going wide, right? It's a shotgun approach. And if that converts into a potential opportunity, then somebody at the office will actually take that lead, talk to them, and then explain to them, we're investors, we're looking to buy properties at a discount. If that becomes something that they're acceptable with, then we're going to that appointment. Then I go to that appointment.
So
we're doing it.
So I want to review what Lenny just shared, because Lenny was invited on here to be just talking about sheriff sales, but he said, like, a few minutes ago, that the sheriff sales is like on a standstill right now. So it's frozen. And because of that, he had to change up his game, or not change up his game, but focus on another way to play the game. Mm-hmm. And that is buying data. And he mentioned that ListSource is the place to buy it. Yeah, ListSource also provides list pendants and all different types of data.
Yep.
And so you can, and Lenny's absolutely right. You can Google YouTube videos on how to harvest data from ListSource. Like, you can get absentee owners, people that are behind on payments, and they're also not occupying the property, like all that stuff. And then that's how we get that list. Once you get that list, you got to craft your message that connects with the list. Mm-hmm. And then you got to send it like once a week for a period of seven weeks or so before you get something. Is that right?
100%. Yeah. It's a whole, it's literally, when the sheriff's sales had a system, but it was a different system. It was like, It was different. This is completely different because you're dealing with homeowners, right? And these people that we're calling, it's not like they're looking to sell the property. It's the likelihood of being able to call somebody and ask them if they want to sell the property and them saying, yeah, come over and give me an offer is very unlikely. These are people that, like, I like the word you said, harvest. So we harvest these leads, we keep in touch with them. And like Willie said, the people that we actually get in contact with, that's actually a potential of maybe someday, right? Or the people that you build a relationship with. At that point, it's just a follow-up situation. And that's how we've been doing our deals right now, is by those situations, just harvesting the deals, the leads, getting in touch with the people, and just continuously calling them up, checking up on them and seeing if they want to sell. That's our method.
Willie, do you do that now as well, or are you still just hanging out and like? Yes. I know it works. So, I'm not knocking. I know your approach works. I'm just saying, like, it's been working good, but now you want to like scale the model. So are you doing the ListSource stuff too?
So I'm still doing what I do and connecting with people, and I just blew it up a little bit more. I'm calling realtors. I'm trying to work with realtors because they're already doing the marketing, and I'm trying to connect with, instead of targeting sellers directly, we are targeting sellers. I just hired a couple of VAs. We're going to be purchasing some data to use and making cold calls. But for me personally, I'm connecting with realtors, attorneys, title companies, hard money lenders. I'm talking to everyone, and I'm converting a lot of my deals, my leads like that, because just the space that I'm in and I'm focusing on right now, I'm finding that I'm converting a lot, but just by talking to people. But I do want to scale, so that's why we hired a couple of VAs, and we're buying data as well. So we're taking that approach as well. But
so I want to point out that kind of everybody on the call or on the webinar is like, we start this game off of like literally with like very little money and trying to get lists and data for free, right? Like meaning, Lenny, you were going to sheriff sale, the sales web, and you were getting the data for free.
Correct.
Right? From there, you did research to develop a perspective on the opportunity, and then you went to the share sale and bid it on it. Yeah. And then with Willie, you started this game just networking, right? And so that was just lead generation for free. But now during COVID period, we can't really network. We can't really we're not supposed to be going out interacting with people, and so it's transitioned to a game of pulling data, right? And so because we're now not as able to interact with people as much, we have to rely on another company of sort that's gathering this data already. We gotta buy it from them, and so you're buying data from ListSource, from what other platforms that are out there, and then once you get the addresses from ListSource, you then have to do another step, which is skip tracing, which allows us to get the phone number of the homeowners or the people on there. And then once you get the phone numbers, you gotta now do the cold call, or if you want to skip the phone numbers altogether and do direct mail, and send them a letter, and then they call you one way or another, there's that phone call, right? Willie, I know I've seen you in action on the phone. I'm pretty sure you're just as good, Lenny, but I know Willie's always hilarious. And so, Willie, what's the opening phone call like?
So I usually I'll talk about the weather a lot. I'll joke.
Wait, how do you go into the weather?
It's like, hello, John. This is Willie calling from 123 Realty Company. How's your day going today? I'll call them by their first name to get them to just engage with me, and then I'll start with it's just all about the vibe I'm feeling, and I feed off their vibe as well. But a lot of it's about the weather, about a dog, and I'll get them to stay on the phone for 30 seconds, and then if they do that, not even 30 seconds, it's less than that. If they do that, then I'll go into it a little bit more. But the key is just to get them not to hang up on you. So, hey, John, how's your day going today? Directly. So,
wow,
that's kind of how I do it.
Keep on the phone. You don't go into hey, John, I'm from Realty Company. I want to buy your house.
No, because I'll actually act like I know them. Like it's my friend, John, what's up? How's your day going today? You see this weather? It's raining, And they're like, yeah, it's raining. Who the hell are you?
So how do you transition that?
I just transition it. We talk about the weather for 3 seconds. And yes, John, I'm actually calling from, 123 Realty Company. It's calling about the property on 123 Main Street, interested in, if you're selling. I understand there's a situation. Sometimes I'll say, if they're in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure, I'll say, I understand there's a situation. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Or, is there anything I can help you, anything at all I can help you with any of your real estate needs?
Right. What do they say? Who the hell are you?
See, when I'm in the moment, it's real easy to just talk to them directly. Most people will beat around the bush, but I'll just bring it up in a very subtle way. Tell me a little about the situation. But I'll build rapport before I could dive into it, asking them for mortgage statements and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I know. I've seen you, dude. And I'm only picking on Willie in terms of these questions because I've seen him go on the flow and he's on a trance. So whenever you hang out with Willie, you'll see him. Sometimes he'll go on these conversations and you're like, what in the world are they talking about? But he's on the phone with them, and then next thing you know, he gets off the phone and they're like, yeah, he's selling or she's selling, and I gotta go put a contract together tomorrow. And I'm like, but you guys were talking about cats and dogs, nothing about the sales contract.
Yeah, that's basic. No one really realizes that. That's what you got to do. You got to build rapport and really build commonality and relate to them. And it's simple. It's just people overcomplicate it.
It's as if I think 20% of the conversation is about real estate, and 80% is about just talking to them because they just want someone to hear them.
Yep.
Lenny, anything you want to add to that?
So for me, it's a little bit different because I only go. So I don't do the initial. I don't like getting hung up on, right? So we have cold callers doing that, and by the time the deal comes to me or when the appointment comes to me, it's already set. I just go on to the appointment. But when I get them in front of me, that's when I think it gets really easy because at that point I'm going over there and I'm doing the opposite of what they expect, right? They expect me to go there and say that their house is crap and yo, wow, I didn't know this and stuff like that. I give them compliments on their property. I do the complete opposite and stuff. I tell them, hey, maybe did you ever consider just listing the property or whatever? 'Cause by that point, I'm there. The questions have already been asked, right? So I already know. They already asked them those questions. Why didn't they list it, right? So for me, it's kind of easier. I'm just going over there, even when it comes down to making an offer, right? When it comes to making an offer, I made it very simple. We created literally something to just whatever, that at the end of the day, they know we're in it to make money. At that point, we leave them with all right, we already kind of put our cards on the table, and then it's just about how well we built that relationship and how motivated they are to sell, and that's how we do it now.
Got it. I'm going to review what you just said. So it's kind of like the way I did it as well. So like what I did was when I did marketing way back, one of the cheapest strategies I did was through bandit signs. Mm-hmm. And I would put up like the We Buy Houses signs. Mm-hmm. And then I eventually hired people to do it. But when I first did it, I just put them up myself. And people would call a number. And so people that were calling were like, the cops called. They were telling me that it's illegal to put these things up. But I would also get calls from homeowners that are like, Nick, I really, really need to sell, blah, 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 blah. And those are the only calls I would, of course, return, right? My voicemail for that number was, hi, my name is Nick. If you want to sell your house, please leave me your name, phone number, and reason for selling. Yeah. So I always knew the reason for selling. Yep. And they were like, oh, I'm going to foreclosure. I'm going to divorce. That's the people I call back.
Yep.
And because I was calling those numbers back, it was kind of like what you were saying. Like, I already know they want to sell, or I already know they want to do something.
Correct.
I don't really even have to build rapport, right? If you go out there, yeah, you should do it so that way you can, connect with people better. Yep. But they already raised their hand saying, Nick, I want to sell.
Yep.
And there was a question here from Alfred. Alfred says, we're talking about acquiring properties, pre-foreclosures and foreclosures and share sale, not just share sale alone, right? I want to answer Alfred real quick. Alfred, yeah, in the beginning half, we actually talked about foreclosures because Willie's first deal, the homeowner was behind on payments, and then he just tried to help her sell the property, and he got paid through a realtor commission on that. But there are times when you're doing that kind of deal where there's a lot of equity. His deal didn't have a lot of equity, and so he just made a commission. But there's deals like that where there's a lot of equity, and you can just, instead of doing a realtor's commission, you can wholesale it. The second deal that he talked about was a short sale, where he short sold the property, and he was able to flip it for 6 figures, and he got the bank to approve the flip through the option agreement. And then from there we went into Lenny. So we actually talked about 3 things. It's just I didn't necessarily make like declarations that they were this, and this, but each story was actually a different story. So I'm gonna open up for questions for like another 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and then we're gonna wrap it up because I was only supposed to run this till 8:30. I also want to let you guys know if you guys have other questions, okay, you can actually email us, and I'll take my time out to reply to it. But just do it, like, if you have questions, do it today, and then I'll reply like by tomorrow. If I'm getting it tomorrow, I'm not gonna necessarily dedicate as much time because I got other stuff to do, but I'll do it today. So my email for this is just email actually info@tristatemixer.com, okay? And then I'll answer, and if there's any questions I can't answer, I'm gonna reach out to Willie and Lenny. Along with that, there's a lot of questions on here that people are asking Lenny. Do you do training, and can they learn from you?
We do training right now. Obviously we used to have people come to our office and stuff like that. Things have been a little bit different now, right? We haven't started doing anything again, like via Zoom or whatever. But we are talking about doing that. So yeah, they can shoot me an email, Lenny at FlippinNJ.
Okay, so Lenny, you're gonna get flooded. You know that, right? There's like 100 something people on this call. Are you sure you want to give out that email?
Yeah. We it's funny. We've been working on something. So within all this time, if you could take out anything good about what's happened with all this stuff with the pandemic, obviously a lot of bad stuff happened, but there's been time to do other stuff. We've created things like for our skip tracing, we created a company based around skip tracing. Skipmachine.com. I'm plugging the thing.
Yeah, go for it, bro. It's a good system.
15 cents. I think everybody needs. You only get charged if it's a hit, it emails, it does LLCs, it does everything. So we've created different tools that we didn't have before, right? And so the more tools that we create to help our business, it makes sense to now, if we're going to train people, train them on basically the tools that we've created and the tools that we're currently using, right? And now it makes a lot more sense. Now we have something, it's kind of like our own products and stuff, right? So yeah, so we've been talking about it and building that.
What is that website called again, Lenny?
That's skipmachine.com.
Okay, skipmachine.com. And then Lenny, your email that you want to give out. It's flipping NJ. Okay, somebody already wrote it. So it's Nicole wrote it. At flippingnj.com.
Yeah. And people, don't get mad at me if I don't respond right away, because I'm terrible with email, but I will respond.
And he's gonna get flooded with like 100 some. So you guys gotta be mindful of that. And Willie, what about you, Willie? For people that want to work with you or send you short sales or partner with you. I can't hear you, Willie. You have it on mute.
Sorry about that. You hear me?
Yeah.
It's William at sharprealtysolutions.com.
Sharp, like a sharp knife?
Yeah, Sharp Realty Solutions.
Willie at Sharp Realty Solutions. William, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Put it in the chat.
Can you check my chat?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I got it right.
I put it too.
Guys, so time is up with these guys. Like I said, you got our emails. You have questions, hit me first. And if I can't answer it, I'll definitely forward it to Lenny or Willie. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the event. Let me if you guys let me know how you like the event. There's like a survey at the end. Also, if you like the platform, this is a new platform we're using. I'm not 100% sure if I like it because it's kind of like laggy. But let me know your thoughts to see if I should use it in the future. Once again, guys, thanks so much. If there's anything else you guys want to mention or add, feel free. Willie, you got anything you want to say? Or Lenny?
Yeah, so someone asked for a checklist. Just email me and I'll send it over to you.
Okay, awesome.
Nothing really. Just thanks for having me on. Great seeing you guys. And
yeah, bro, it's a lot of time, man.
Yeah, look forward to getting together, like really getting together.
Bro, I think you look better with hair, bro.
A lot of people say that, and now I'm afraid to lose my hair. So
I thought you didn't have hair. That's why I thought people that are bald are normally bald because
I was shaving for 22 years.
What?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much for taking your time.
Right,
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.